Hi, I'm Alison from Boomerang and MoveSMART, and today we're going to get into your shoulder blades and the spaces between your shoulder blades, and all you need is a ball. I really like the yoga tune-up balls, but any small, soft-ish ball will do. So you're going to start by placing the ball in between the right side of your spine and your right shoulder blade, and lean that up against the wall. You want it to be high-ish, right? So not too high, not too low, but not right up over your shoulder blade, over the top of your shoulder blade. You're going to take your right hand and fold it behind your left hip, which will create a bit of a wing or a gap, right? So you're going to wedge the ball into that gap, and then you're going to roll up and down. So you're trying to ease the ball into the gap. You can let your head tip a little over to one side if that feels good to you. It's important that you stay gentle here. The goal is not to crush the ball into the space between your shoulder blade and your spine. There are some nerves and there's some stuff going on in here that doesn't really like to be pushed on too hard. So we're looking for gentle, right? And you can go a little side to side as though you're trying to ease the ball deeper into that gap, that wing between your shoulder blade and your spine. And again, you're moving in a way that feels good and positive to you. And then let your arm hang down. So now you've created a little bit more space, right? You've lessened that wing, your shoulder blade has flattened a little bit, and you're still staying mostly in the space between your spine and your shoulder blade across that little band of rib. There's a muscle in here called your rhomboids. You have two rhomboid muscles, rhomboid major and rhomboid minor. They run on an angle, downward angle, between your spine and underneath your shoulder blade. And they get tight. Whether they tend to be really wide or they tend to be really narrow for you, they get tight and sore. So now, take your arm and reach it forward. You reach your arm straight, and then you also roll your shoulder blade forward a little bit. So you're here against the wall, you reach your arm, and then you also broaden or protract your shoulder blade. So now you've got quite a lot of space to work with. This, for many people, is the most sensitive position. So you might want to lean back less. You want maybe a little less pressure. Again, it needs to feel good and positive to you. Da, 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 da. This is a really good anti-typing, anti-texting all the time activity, and you'll be amazed at how it feels from side to side when you're done. So then you can take the ball away. And then, I don't know if you can see here the difference between where this shoulder is and this one. It's totally on an angle, and my fingers are longer. My arm feels longer on that side. So if you're using yoga tune-up balls, you will grab your other ball. If you are using any other, if you just have one, you do the same thing. So you put the ball in between the left side of your spine and your left shoulder blade. You put your hand behind your right hip, which creates that little bit of gap, and the ball goes into the gap. And you go mostly up and down here. Maybe a little side to side, and really gauging your pressure appropriately to what feels good and productive and sustainable to you. And this might be not the same from side to side, right? Because we have different movement habits and different movement patterns. Dominant-handedness is the most obvious one, but things like, if you carry a bag or a briefcase, do you always carry it on one side, or you tend to carry it on one side? If you have kids, do you tend to carry your kids on one side? If you have a sport, if you're a tennis player or a racquetball player, any kind of mostly one-handed or predominantly one-handed sport, all of those things are going to have effect on how your shoulder blades sit relative to your ribs. So now let your arm hang down. It's just relaxing. That will flatten your shoulder blade on your rib cage, and it broadens a little bit the space between your spine and the inside border of your shoulder blade, so you have a little bit more room to work with. So you're maybe going to go a little bit more side to side, maybe on a diagonal, bottom of your shoulder blade towards your spine at the upper part, top of your shoulder blade and down. Doesn't really matter. You're moving wherever feels good to you, just staying on that left side, the left side of your spine to the inside border of your left shoulder blade. The ball often will work its way up or down, so you just keep putting it back where you want it. And now you're going to reach your arm forward and then also reach your shoulder blade forward a little bit. So now this is the biggest amount of space between your spine and your shoulder blade. It's likely to be the most sensitive for most people. You want to not roll on your hair because that's uncomfortable. And the farther away you put your feet, the more pressure you'll get. The closer you have your feet to the wall, the less pressure. And yet you will totally migrate all over the place as you do this. A couple more swipes for good measure. And then we'll let your arm relax. Slide the ball out of the way. And let your arms relax. And then having done that, bring your arms forward in space. Reach them forward. You don't need to bring them really high. You want to be at a place where you don't feel like you're straining or stressing the tops of your shoulders. You're going to glide your shoulder blades together and slide them apart. Glide them together and slide them apart. And you're trying to avoid hiking, right? So you don't want to be doing that. It's just reach forward, slide back. Reach forward, slide back. And then with your arms pressing forward, reach them out to the side. Shoulders glide together. Bring your hands together and actually cross them in front of you. Slide out to the side, bring them back, and then cross forward. The other hand goes on top. And again, we want to have arm movement, shoulder blade movement, shoulder blade movement, arm movement. We want to get this nice sense of integrating the way your arms move with this nice shoulder blade glide. Last one, slide your arms across, slide your arms out, finishing the other arm on top. And then bring your arms together, float them down. Have a lovely day. Go play with your shoulder blades, and we'll see you next time. Questions, comments, love it? Put them in down below, share with a friend. See you later.